welcome to another episode of One Missed Pod. I'm your host, Zach Long.
Hi, I'm Kelly Warner.
And this week, we're going to be talking about Pulse.
Yes.
Delightful film. So, how have you been, Kelly?
We're recording this on Monday, June 15th. A good day, but oh my god, it comes at the end of one of the longest weeks of my life. Listen, hi, I'm trans, and though I knew of the fucking awful nature of transphobia, this was the first week in my life where it was like, you. And like other times, I felt like I could watch as an ally. I was just the best ally I could be. And this time I was fucking in it, and I felt it deeper, and it hurt. I felt it from a billionaire children's authors. I felt it from fuckstick neighbors. I felt it from my own fucking government, and I was just fucking exhausted and hurt. And I do not feel comfortable being hated. I'm not sure if that's a me thing, or if maybe that's how all people are, regardless of fuck all. I don't know. And it was a horrible week, and that just kept taking. But today, we got some much needed good news from the Supreme Court of all fucking people. Neil Gorsuch said trans rights, basically. And it didn't make it all better exactly, but oh my god, it was such a relief to be able to breathe more easily again. We needed that fucking win, and I don't know. I got some hope again. I still want to break some fucking faces, but, you know, in a good, productive way, of course. So yeah, it's a good day today.
Oh, well. Yeah.
And I'm done with my rant.
Break faces in a productive way is such a... I like that. I'm going to steal that and put it in a poem someday.
Okay.
Let's see, like 3 people will see it, and you'll be one of them.
I know. It's like, oh, I know that line. Yeah.
My week has been complicated in a whole different way, and not near... It's been shitty, but like a whole different kind of shitty, like a slightly lesser level of shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Still bad in its own way, but like I did get Bubblegum Crisis on Blu-ray, and I want to just explain to you what it means to fall in love. Pris wears a battle suit of like mech armor. She sings for a rock band. She drives a motorcycle, and she doesn't give a fuck about Leon or the AD police. Pris is a role model. And that's what I learned this week.
So we both had our shit weeks that,
yeah, it was not a good time.
You had anime. It kind of turned it a little bit around. A little bit.
Each one of us is just like, well, okay, here's the one good thing. All right, and
we're going to fucking cling to it for dear life.
I got Bubblegum Crisis paused in the background right now.
Oh, good. We're tired. Okay, we're so tired.
So Kelly, is there any new movies this week?
Okay, so streaming-wise, Shudder now has the new Korean horror film Warning, Do Not Play, which is about a cursed movie that was filmed by a ghost. I have no idea if it's good.
Wait,
but it's new.
The movie was filmed by the ghost?
It's like this,
like the movie we watch, or the movie in the movie?
I think the movie in the movie.
You know what? There's a big opportunity to make a movie about a ghost that films the movie that the viewer's watching.
That's kind of cool, and a weird sort of voyeur paranormal thing.
It would be kind of... Do you remember that Clive Barker book, like Be Mr. or whatever, where the idea was the book, there was a demon trapped in it, he keeps telling you to burn it, to destroy it, but then by spoilers, you get to the end, of course he's telling you to burn it, that's how he gets free from the book.
That's cool. But no, I mean, who knows? Maybe the movie Warning, Do Not Play takes some of that idea and runs with it. I don't know. You can check it out. It's now on Shudder. Newly available on Blu-ray is H-Man, which was previously mentioned in our episode about The Secret of the Telegian. The H-Man comes in a double feature with Battle in Outer Space, another Ishiro Honda film. And
did you have that one? Did you not?
I do. I have. I got the new Blu-ray. I haven't checked it out yet, but it's It looks pretty. I mean, it's a nice case. It's a nice case. Fuck.
That's all
Um,
right.
yeah. So.
You'll give us an update when you do check it out.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I will. And a new announcement just recently. Though the new Shinya Tsukamoto box set from Arrow is out now, and it's beautiful. I like it a lot. There's some movies that didn't make it into that box, and one of them was his film Gemini, and that's coming to Blu-ray on August 4th from a different company, Mondo, I think it was. So,
Oh, I love Mondo.
so Gemini, based on the Rampo story, is coming August 4th. So that's the movie updates for
I
this
just
week.
realized I actually do have an update to add to this.
Oh yes.
Um, coming soon for Scriptophobic,
Oh no.
and I can only tease this right now. But here's what I'll say: I am in the middle of conducting an interview for Scriptophobic with one of the people that does a commentary on the Ring box set.
Mm, very
I
nice.
won't
Very
tell you
nice.
who, but
I will just have to look at the ring box set and see who does commentaries and try to figure it out from there.
it's a very I like their energy a lot. They're a
Cool.
very fun person to talk to, and is very receptive to my chaotic style of sort of just seeing what comes out of it, and said some very nice things about me and Scriptophobic that made me feel very pleasant.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I'm really happy. They actually were a very important figure in my life,
Oh
unbeknownst to
wow.
them,
Cool.
because of one of their books.
Yeah, yeah. And today we're talking about Kiyoshi Kurosawa's horror masterpiece, I think, Pulse, also known as Kairo. You want to give us a little bit of a summation of what the movie is about?
This is a movie about, you're going to say depression, but you could also just say loneliness too, in which we are introduced to this is an ensemble piece. There is a main character that we don't know is the main character till later. You don't actually know who the main character is for a lot of it. You're just
That's true.
you're meeting a lot of characters who are kind of experiencing this together separately, very importantly separately, but all sort of experiencing the same sort of syndromes, in
Hmm.
which something technological happens. In one case, we see somebody gets invited to a website that asks, "Do you want to see a ghost?" Um, we don't know that happens with every person. We don't know what happens with every person, just that something does. And all sorts of people start kind of becoming haunted and drawn into themselves and their own sort of worlds as people just kind of start disappearing and the world gets smaller and smaller, and it's a very confusing movie in a way that's not hard to follow so much as it's intentionally vague in a way that I appreciate artistically to no end. um, I'm doing a really bad job summarizing it, because if to summarize it plot wise would have to by necessity kind of go scene by scene and sort of take the essence out of the film, because it's kind of like the summation of its scenes in a
It's a mood movie, you know.
it's a very much a mood movie, but it does have one of the most terrifying things I have ever seen on a screen, and that's always a good sign.
Now I'm gonna be curious. Was it ghost related or was it the tower?
What, I don't know what you mean by the tower.
The suicide, the jump.
Oh,
That fucked me up.
no, that did not fuck me up. For me it was Ghost.
Okay, yeah. But
I had
but
watched. So what I watched before I watched the movie. I watched the three special effects pieces about
hmm
about different effects, and
don't
I
tell me how
don't.
that happened. Don't tell me how that worked. I don't want to know.
That's not what I'm doing. but I'm just saying that that was part of it,
Hmm.
and so I was already prepared for that, so it wasn't a shock this time around.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
But I forgot how terrifying the first big ghost scene was,
Mm.
and that shit is nightmare level. Oh my god, that's like some Ganjam or haunted asylum level, just terrifying. Like no sir, no.
No, sir,
I
no.
please sir, I want to get off the movie now, please.
Mhm. Um, but one other thing that you mentioned depression, and but it's also a paranormal film about do you want to see a ghost? Basically, though, it's a movie about, in its simplest form, it's a movie about when there's no more room in hell, the ghosts, come through our computers and our dial-up internet, and they start kind of invading the internet a little bit, and that sounds weird and silly and so 2001 and fear.com-ish and everything, but it's handled in such an eerie way that I really
Well,
think it stands up today.
the computers seem to be like barely a part of it in a way. Like it really plays up the computer angle,
Hmm. Sure, yeah,
but at
a
the
lot of
same
J-horror
time
does.
at the same time though, the computer is almost irrelevant.
It's a
Like
plot device,
yes, exactly, it's very much literally a plot device.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like you could replace that with almost anything and this would hold up, where fear.com is like, hey, you're trapped on the internet and the internet is the problem and the internet is everything, and this is more like hell is coming back and this is the easiest way they found. But also, we don't know for sure that that's actually how they're getting in. We don't know that
No.
everybody who's kind of infected by hell gets in that way. We just have one person's theory, and that's just a person's. It's presented to us as fact, but it is just a theory. And so any theory you kind of
Yeah.
apply to this film kind of works.
Yeah, no.
Like,
See, that's the thing. The movie, like most Kiyoshi Kurosawa films, is incredibly ambiguous and it doesn't give you all the answers, and some people will find that so incredibly frustrating. I love it, but so the movie gives you these hints and these clues of trying to understand it, and it doesn't really need you to understand it. It just wants you to feel it. And
well, they also contradict themselves at
a little
times.
bit, yeah. But yeah, as you mentioned, there is a part in the film where a college student basically theorizes what could have started this, and we get this cameo role from Mike favorite Sho Aikawa, um, like basically finding maybe this was the original room where a ghost first came in, and he walls it off with the red tape and everything, and he thinks he's saved it, and then a construction crane or whatever comes through and it destroys it and it's out now. And that's the theories that the movie
Well,
basically asks us to understand. But it's also just a theory.
the thing too is it's not just out now that way. It then zooms in on a plug to be like it went out through the plug,
Yeah, it's
which
bizarre
is
and
like
strange.
if you cut it open, why would it have to go out through the plug? Isn't that the way it could have gone out
I know.
earlier?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's so like that hole. It has holes within this theory because that's just all it is. It's not a
Yeah.
very good
No.
theory.
It's
It
like,
just is one, and that's the best we're gonna get.
yeah, it's seriously like Kurosawa came up with this awesome concept for what is essentially an apocalyptic ghost story, and um, basically said, I'm not going to tell you how it happens or how it'll ever stop, but here's some characters having some thoughts, and maybe this is close to the truth. Maybe it isn't. And I kind of like that, but at the same time, it is a strange way to tell a story, basically, just to say these are not the answers, but they're as close as you're going to get.
I typically I typically say that you need to have rules set in place. And I actually do feel like there are rules, but I don't feel like we're kind of given to understand them in a sense.
No,
There
yeah.
seems to be like going into the red room has become a thing that each person kind of faces.
And they're like drawn to it. But I want to also make a mention that, um, see, I love Kurosawa's use of menacing camera angles and this the slow build and all that sort of stuff. But I never
Oh,
usually
slow,
think,
slow, slow.
oh, for sure, yeah. No, this movie is criticized for being too slow by some
Oh no,
people.
it should it's too fast. If anything,
But one of the things that
this needed to be stalker length.
but one of the things that I don't typically think of with Kiyoshi Kurosawa is his use of color, but I love his use of color in this movie because so much of the movie is really dark and kind of, dank and wet looking and cold, and then you have these the red tape that the characters use to block off the ghost rooms, and it's such a striking visual. It's so simple. Red
I
tape around a
think that
door, and I love it.
I don't. Did he? I've seen that in other things. Is that his, or is that part of super? Is that a
I
superstition in Japan?
I have no idea, but I love it here.
I'm gonna try to remember to look that up because
Okay,
I've
sure.
seen that in there's a million different anthologies and I've seen it in one of those,
Okay.
and that could just be playing tribute to this.
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
want
Yeah.
to. It looks. I do want to. I do agree. It looks amazing. I just actually want to see if that is like.
Do you want to pause for a second and look?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that.
Okay. All right. All right.
But I had a thought from earlier. Oh, which is when we were talking about the way we were talking about the rules and whatnot. I was going to say like the ambiguity in it is something that I really want to. I want to try writing something as a nod to Kurosawa.
I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, but same Kurosawa, or do you just have it for
Um,
two?
for both Kurosawas, I love both my Kurosawas.
You haven't met a bad Kurosawa yet.
That's true. And by the way, Kiyoshi Kurosawa, Akira Kurosawa, not related. I just some Americans think that. No, not related.
Nope, but both incredible.
Yes, and very different filmmakers, but yeah, both incredible. You mentioned about writing something along the lines of Kurosawa. It's interesting. I found out just recently that Kiyoshi Kurosawa actually wrote a novel himself based on this film, which was released the following year. Sadly, an English language release does not seem to be readily available. I only found the book in Japanese and French, but I'd be really interested to hear how that plays out.
I feel like this is something we're going to experience a lot as we do the show
Oh yeah,
because we're
yeah.
now on episode what 6, 7, six,
Fuck, I don't know.
and
I don't know.
I think it's 6. We're gonna say 6,
Sure.
and this is now the second book we've encountered that's only in Japanese as far as it matters for us.
Yeah, was it the other? What was the other one? One missed call.
One missed call.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a book.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that feel like forever ago when we were wading through the rivers of that trash?
Zach, it's 2020. It was forever ago.
Oh, you're right. That's the problem. That's exactly what it.
Speaking
It's
of
hard. Isn't it
2020,
kind of? Isn't it kind of shocking though that we only do this once a week? Doesn't it feel like we've been doing this forever now?
well, we did lose a week or two there with this month has been fuck. You know.
Yeah, we'll catch up on that.
Yeah,
You know what
but
we're watching next, so we'll be good to go.
yeah, yeah. But speaking of 2020, I want to mention how this movie plays very differently this year than it did in years previous because I really feel like if you watch it now, you kind of see this is a social isolation horror film. It's a movie about lonely people and crippling depression and missing people and empty buses and empty streets and empty stores. It's so fucking eerie watching this in 2020, and I really think that there's it's something that you need to maybe watch this year when you're feeling up for it. Because I've seen the movie twice this year. The second time I watched it, which was last week during my horrible week, and I cried through a lot of this movie. Now I think part of that reason is that I want to get back to the fact that I believe the monster in this movie is depression. Basically, when you see a ghost in this movie, you are just fucked with depression, and you're a walking corpse. You have no love for these things. You want to um, shut yourself off from everyone, and like you're starved for touch. You're starved for. It's so distressing to watch all these characters go through all the different forms of in, crippling depression, and it's the paranormal aspect that unlocks it, or like infects them with it, and essentially though it's ending the world. The ghosts are ending the world, but the people are, after becoming in contact with ghosts, going missing and just fading into nothing, with this paranormal like depression. And I really think that it's a sad movie, but it's also, I mean, this is a masterpiece, but I also think it's a really sad movie.
You would like the people are kind of fading into black shadows on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's a scene early on where somebody sees the shadows, like, oh, it's that's weird, leaves, then comes running back, going, hey, buddy, oh wait, and you kind of find out that people see the shadows, see their friend for a second, and then like see the shadow again,
Mm-hmm.
and that, I mean, first off, as a metaphor for depression, holy shit. But I also have literally lived that in my life as being the friend, being like that as a metaphor for my
Yeah.
living situation for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've like seen that firsthand, and it's like when you take it on the metaphoric level, it's great. When you take it on the ghost level, it gets really fucking confusing and it's
It's a
hard to
little bit
follow.
fuzzy. Yeah.
The
You
movie
know, some
works as a metaphor better than it works as a supernatural film.
Yeah, it's a movie that I can't. I mean, we kind of stumbled a little bit trying to sum it up earlier, because it's a movie so much about mood and feeling, and instead of it's a movie that you oh fuck, this sounds so bad. It's a movie you experience, and
Well, those movies do exist. I mean, that's what.
for sure,
How could you describe 2001 to somebody? You know,
it's a space movie with ballet music and apes.
See, that doesn't tell you anything of the
I know.
majesty of that
No, no,
movie,
no,
and
no.
that's what Pulse is kind of like. Pulse is a very depressing, dour, sad, dark, dank, wonderful, delightful experience that you
And
should
I love
really
how
put
epic
yourself
it is. Oh my
through.
god,
It is, well. That's the thing too, is it doesn't start epic. Do you know where it starts?
it's
You know where it starts? It starts with a fucking wonderful greenhouse. It
you and
starts
your
at their work,
greenhouse.
and they start in this beautiful greenhouse, and they're tending flowers, and they got a. It's clearly on a rooftop, so they were smart. They
Mm-hmm.
put a greenhouse on top of their roof because that's what you should do, you dumbasses. Every building, it should have a greenhouse on top of it. Anyway, so they have that greenhouse, and it's clear that they have the two racks there and the two over there, and they got a bunch in the middle there, and they're doing their science stuff. But then you go outside, and there's more plants outside because not every plant has to be in the greenhouse. Just because you have a greenhouse doesn't mean that a plant needs to be in there. You have to consider its humidity needs, people. You have to maximize your use of the space, and they're doing that, and that is why they are running a successful business. So it starts great. It starts on a very intimate, small level.
No, it does. It does. But
And then it starts. Then it shows the logo for the movie right before a man hangs himself. Shockingly,
yeah.
because it starts with a suicide like in the first 5 minutes.
Hmm. Well, one of the other things also is it does start with this. It starts with the bookend. Remember, with the ship, which I don't know if I
Oh, you're right.
love.
You're.
I don't know
I
if
don't
I
like that.
love the.
I don't need the bookend.
No, I
It should have
which
just been the end.
especially because the captain of the ship is played by one of Japan's biggest movie stars, Koji Yakusho, and so it's sort of like it draws attention to itself more than it should have, and I don't love the bookends. But you mentioned earlier about um friends and stuff. One of the things that kind of strikes me about the movie is that there's really not a romance in the movie. Every character in this movie is friends with people. they're all friend characters. Like there's
It
this.
does lead you to it does lead
It
you a
does
little bit to
suggest
think that
something.
it could.
Yeah, it
And
does
that it
suggest
but the
with
most that happens is somebody rests their head on a shoulder, somebody else's shoulder, which
yeah,
more than romance, it's about trust
yeah, that's
and
between
comfort.
Haru and Kawashima, the
Oh, I love
computer
them
girl.
too. I love them so much.
I loved those
I have
two.
such a crush on her.
Oh yeah, me
Poor
too.
thing.
But no, she's yeah, played by the actress Koyuki, who a lot of Americans probably remember from The Last Samurai. She's
Are
gorgeous.
we going to see her in anything else?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I'll have to look that up. The guy that's with her, Kawashima, played
The
by
like the punk dude.
the guy that doesn't like computers. You know,
I love him so much.
he's so cool.
He's
Um,
adorable in this movie.
yeah,
Like
we'll
he just
probably
has
see
such a
him.
great energy.
We'll probably see him again. That's Haruhiko Kato, who was also in Carved and also Another Heaven. So yeah,
What is
uh,
Another Heaven?
it's a George Ida movie.
Oh, that's where yes, we mentioned that when we were
Yeah,
talking about Battle Heater.
yeah. But
Okay.
but yeah, I just kind of yes, Haru and Kawashima. There, that could be the start of a romance, but they're friends right now. And then there's the other friend character, Michi, the other lead, who kind of strikes up a friendship with Kawashima at the end, and even one of the final lines of the movie is, being happy at the end of the world with
With
my
my
last
friend,
friend,
yep.
and it's like, to me,
Also,
there's
that's
also
sad because the captain's over there.
yeah, but also remember the boss of the greenhouse place has that sad little rant about, or not rant, but a sad little
Soliloquy.
commentary on how useless it is to have friends in your life. And it's like, even some of the living that are not touched by the ghosts are depressed. It's a movie about
No,
depression.
he was touched by the ghost. I'm
You think
convinced he was
even at
already
that
touched.
point?
I think at that point he was just fresh.
Okay, all right, maybe so. But
I
yeah,
think
and
that was the sign that he was.
that's interesting. But yeah, um,
Or that was my read anyway. But that's the thing.
um,
The movie is ambiguous.
oh, so fucking ambiguous. Um, and also, I want to know, this movie was a success in the West, and it was a flop in Japan when it was first released. It
And that's
kind
why
of,
we have three movies in the U.S. version.
yeah, the remake series, yeah. Which, didn't Wes Craven write the remake, or at least produced it? There's Wes Craven on the,
He is involved somehow.
yeah, and it's a
I
shame because
remember like I watched it a bunch.
I don't
I
like
know
that movie.
I had the DVD that had all three of them in it,
Mm.
and I could not really tell you anything beyond. I vaguely remember a guy and a girl in a car, and I remember shadow monsters, and that's
I think
not what the
that's
shadows are in this.
No, I think that's the end of the first film, where they're like,
Okay, see,
they're driving away and the ghosts are following them, these shadows, and they basically escape by her throwing her cell phone out the window, and so the internet can't follow them, or something like that. It's like the only thing
wow,
yeah, no, I hate the remake.
Kelly, that's rot in my brain. Don't talk about that.
um,
Oh
so
my
the
god, that's so stupid.
I mean, and I might be wrong. Listen, I did not like the movie, and it's been forever since I saw it. I never saw the sequels, but
We'll go where the
it's
internet can't find us.
um.
Milwaukee.
But no, it was not the Kurosawa film was not a success. It came out um right at the end of
That's
the J
extremely
horror
disappointing.
boom. Yeah, no, it is, and but it
Well,
kind
it's
of
not a J horror movie in the way the others were.
no, but Japanese horror was losing its interest in its or audiences were losing interest in horror in Japan at the time. At least that's how I understand it. But
Kind
you
of like
know,
the '90s in the North America.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. And
It took a few years off and then reignited the spark.
yeah, but it fits nicely in. I mean, fuck, it might be Kurosawa's best film, but it's settled nicely in the early 2000s for him with it comes 1 year before Bright Future, which is a good film, and
Haven't
1 year.
seen that one.
It's good. What's his name? Tadanobu Asano is really good in it. And there's jellyfish. They're cool.
So what was the movie that this came 1 year after?
It came 1 year after the TV movie Seance, which was a
Oh, I have that on my history of horror.
remake of Britain's Seance on a Wet Afternoon, which I believe starred Richard Attenborough. Yeah,
Like the Richard Attenborough?
John Hammond.
Like Mr. Great Voice?
Not not BBC Nature Attenborough, the other one. The
Oh, that's
movie.
David, not Richard.
Yeah,
Okay.
David's BBC. Richard is the director of Gandhi and also star of Jurassic Park.
Which one was he in Jurassic Park?
John Hammond.
Oh, the nice old guy.
Yeah, the nice old guy.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, I didn't realize he was a director.
Oh yeah, no, he made quite a few films. A
Oh,
Bridge
that's
Too Far.
wonderful.
A Bridge Too Far is one of the best World War II films he made, and
I know that film. I didn't know he did it.
I might be wrong. I think I'm right. He directed Magic, that horror film with Anthony Hopkins and the
Oh, I haven't seen that, but it
dummy.
looks terrifying.
Oh, it is scary. So no, Attenborough was a good director. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that I did not know that kindly old grandpa was a film director.
Yeah, no, I mean,
he does a good job acting in that. Then,
yeah, no, I mean, he started off as an actor and then became a director.
Okay. Have you seen Seance, the one that brought us to this?
I've not seen Seance on a Wet Afternoon, but I've seen Kurosawa's Seance, and it is so good. It is so good.
Oh, I'm glad, because that's on my list. I also have, speaking of Kurosawa, on my history of horror, I also have The Guard from the Underground.
Oh, that one's not as good, but it's fun. It's basically Kurosawa trying a slasher movie.
Yeah, that's what you told me, so I was like, that sounds interesting. And I really, really want to bring up how much I love Retribution. And I want to watch Retribution soon. Anyway, now that we're back from the part that we had to edit out, it was a whole ordeal. But
Nothing happened.
All I want to say is that I'm safe.
Oh, Jesus. Don't give people ideas. Listen, I'm not a danger.
You're not a danger. That's why we record many miles away. I was safe the whole time. I do want to take a moment and talk about what is the scariest fucking scene in Japanese horror.
Japanese horror or in this movie? Or are they the same thing?
This is the scariest moment in a Japanese film I have yet to see.
Okay.
One of the kids, a sort of surefire, doesn't give no shits. He needs to get... I believe that these kids are working in this greenhouse, and I think it might be a project for their school. Or they might just all go to school together and they're working on a project together. One way or the other, they're definitely working on a project. Our first girl goes to the apartment in the beginning, sees the guy hang himself because they'll go in there to get a disc with data on it. They look at the disc with data, and it has him like standing there being all weird. And the other guy in this project team, he goes to the guy's house. He's the one actually that does sees the shadow, leaves, comes back part. He goes down the rabbit hole first, I believe. I think he does it before the girls. Definitely before the computer girl.
He does it before the girls.
Yeah, and so he goes into the red room, I guess. It's mostly there's this long shot. It's kind of like a hall. It's not really a hallway, but it's almost looks like a hallway the way that the mise-en-scene's all set up. And
I thought it was a hallway, but yeah.
I think it's just one room and it's just a part of it. But it's like they use a lens which makes it feel all stretched out and weird.
Okay.
That's my takeaway, but it's been a few days. But there's like a ghost lady at the end, and at first you're like, is she part of the wall? And there is a thing behind the scenes. Kurosawa did say that he sees the ghosts as 2D. Why should a ghost be 3D? So there is a sort of deliberate attempt to make her seem like she's on the same plane as the wall, I think, because that's the 2D effect. And she starts coming forward, and there's still a lot of shadows. And you just as you're getting, and she's really, really, really slow. And just as you're getting used to the pace that she's setting, and you're like, I got this, suddenly she does a fast movement, not forward, but kind of like she swings down and around and up, and it's really fast, and then she takes a very slow step forward again. And this is like the contrast between fast and slow here is so amazing because she's walking so slow, and it almost feels like a slow zombie where you're like, well, that can't ever hurt me. But then when she's fast, it's like, what if a slow zombie is not a slow zombie, but just a fast zombie who's taking a break for a second? You know? Like, that would be terrifying. And so it's not that she's slow, it's that she's choosing to do that. And there's something about the inevitable quality of it. And he gets down and he's hiding and he looks down under the crack behind at the bottom of what he's hiding to see her. There's no feet and he can't see her. And immediately we know that that means that she's already on like the chair he's hiding behind. And then it's just a very long, slow moment until we see what resolves from that. And the pacing in that scene, because you're just, it's like, okay, this is a slow movie. And then suddenly, fast movement, back into slow pace. And there's this disconnect, just suddenly makes the whole situation that much more terrifying. It is such a brilliant fucking show of the mechanics of film and the mechanics of tension. This is a masterpiece. Like, it's absolutely amazing, and it just demonstrates why Pulse is such a outstanding film, not just in Kurosawa's filmography, but in Japanese cinema as a whole.
Yeah, this is a 5-star horror film. You know, this is a 5-star film. Fuck genre. This is I don't. I have a hard time. This is fuck it. This is Kurosawa's best film, and I love rewatching it because I find something different every time. And I mean, earlier this year it was the 2020 connection. Then just last week it was the holy fuck, I'm so depressed. And it's just there's so many layers to it. Even if the plot is hard to define and the rules um are there any? And
That's
and
the thing;
so
it still works. It really does.
it
Like
it it
that's
works
the
on
impressive
so
thing
many
about it.
levels. Yeah, yeah.
It's like watching a really good art film. Like when you watch the start of Persona and you're looking at this visual poem, it's like how would you describe that to somebody else?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or like how would you describe to somebody what watching The Ring, like the video in The Ring, would be like?
Yeah.
It's very hard.
And you mentioned and you mentioned about how you knew the special effects of it, so it lessened the impact. But to me, one of the scariest scenes in the movie is the suicide jump. Because when I watch it without knowing how it's done, and I don't want to know how it's done, it's like, oh my god, I don't see the tricks that I usually see, that I can tell you how they did it to lessen the impact of what I just saw, to remind myself this is just a movie. Instead, I see the scene that it's like my brain can't fully wrap around how they did that, and the impact is just I don't. That's a fucking scary shot of that jump, and it sticks with me. Yeah.
It's a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great stunt. It's a great shot. It's the way that it's framed and the way that they angle it so that you're with the character who's going to react to it. So like we're always, we don't leave her side, so we are still mirroring her. It's not just look at this thing. It's look at this thing through her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like it's very very smart. Like Kiyoshi Kurosawa has such a good grasp on cinema. It is, but I mean, by this point, like he did Sweet Home in '89, and this was when 2001,
Yes. Yeah.
2004,
2001.
2001. So this is now 12 years later, and he's just been working the whole damn time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
And
no surprise to me that it lost money because pretty much all directors' best films lose money.
speaking of best films, and for that matter, working all the time, he remained so prolific right up until he made his biggest critical success, Tokyo Sonata, the dark drama, which is a great film, and most people
Haven't seen
because
it yet.
it's fantastic.
What year was that?
Yeah, that came out in 2008 and was a huge success. And afterwards, he took a break. You didn't see him for a while, and then he kind of came back and he started experimenting more. He left Japan. He
I know
made.
he did Loft at some point after that.
Oh, I thought that came well before it, but okay.
Oh, I thought it was well after.
But he's
I'll have to look it up. Maybe you're right.
But Tokyo Sonata, though, afterwards, it's like he's been experimenting more, and like he did a mini series, he did a film in Europe, maybe a couple films in Europe, and then he did the um, strange sci-fi film Before We Vanish, and I don't know that I love the new stuff that's come since Tokyo Sonata quite as much as the old Kiyoshi Kurosawa, but he still remains a fascinating director to me.
Well, that's like Mike or like Cronenberg,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
where it's just like there's actually something to be said about when you're sort of scrambling and trying to get your big one, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then like the best of Cronenberg, well, not the best, but some of the best of Cronenberg. Some of it is like Naked Lunch there and Existence are both great films, and they're
Mm-hmm.
both the '90s where he's trying to recreate the success of The Fly, which was his biggest movie, and
Mm-hmm.
then after that he kind of went mainstream because he had bills to pay.
But his mainstream stuff is good. It is
Oh,
good.
it's great. It's great. It's
It's
just it's
just not what
not
you.
what you hear from the master of body horror.
No, but I wouldn't even say that Kiyoshi Kurosawa has gone mainstream because a lot of his stuff is just. I mean, like I said, he made some experimental films. I think he made one that was
But
like only.
he no longer has to. He got to the point where he can make whatever
Yeah,
instead of having to kind of rush for it to try to
yeah,
get it, and so like
and
that
people are
allows
coming
for
to.
a shift just as much.
Yeah, and people are coming to knock on his door instead of the other way around. So.
Which is like that's really cool, but sometimes when you don't have to scramble, it's like, I mean, look what happened with the prequel series of Star Wars there, where
Yeah, yeah,
Lucas just had full reign.
yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
There is something positive about the scramble and creativity sometimes. A lot of time, that's why I actually think partnerships are good because you got to temper each other a bit.
Or like how J.K. Rowling hasn't had an editor since Prisoner of Azkaban, and it fucking shows because her books are all bloated pieces of trash. What? I fucking said it.
Yeah, I never actually finished that series. I always had the vibe that she was a very spiteful, intolerant. Not, I didn't realize it on the level that she's shown it to be,
Uh-huh.
but she took a character in that, and like not only is it based on this person she disliked, but like it's based on them in such a clear way that it's a signal that this is them and what she thinks of them, and then she has them raped by minotaurs.
The
Nope,
fuck?
centaurs.
No, wait. What? Really? What?
Do you remember the centaur lady?
I I do not remember the centaur lady, and I do not remember rape.
Hermione. Well, the rape isn't. It's implied. So Hermione sets them up. She knows the centaurs will take away the Doris character, the one who like
Yeah, 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 yeah.
makes
Oh, yeah.
Harry write on
Oh,
his own
yeah.
hand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
she,
yeah.
and then next time you see her, she's all like twitchy and
Oh,
all
that's
totally
fucking right.
PTSD
Oh my
because
god.
centaurs are known to rape their things. But she was based on a
The
person, a writing teacher, who said mean things to her once, and
thing
so
is, though,
she based her knickknacks on her actual knickknacks in real life, and then had her raped by centaurs.
oh my god. But the thing is, though, is a lot of us are now seeing Rowling as that character, so it's fun. Whatever. Fuck.
Yeah,
And
but I don't
we
want to
might cut
wish
out this.
anything.
We might cut out this rant about Rowling because I'm just fucking angry and whatever. But you know what? It's the editor's decision. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, I'll cut out you saying we might cut it out, but
um,
but we've gotten to the point of the night where we're a little rambly. I've had a very
just a
hard
little,
day.
just a little.
I think it's really. It turns out that like both of us, we really do love this movie.
A
But
lot,
it's
yeah.
very hard to kind of capture this movie. It really is, like you said, it's an experience. And that sounds like such a hack, trite critic thing to say, which is good because we're not fucking critics.
I tried to be. It didn't really take.
Yeah,
I could say
I
that about
don't
a lot of
write.
things.
I,
Ha!
I went a weird route. I love film. I write about film. I talk about film. I research a film, highlight scholars. Like, I like film.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to try to convince you to like a film you don't like, but it's really hard to like. If I could convince you of a review right now for Pulse, it's that it's a good movie and you should watch it. Just like try it, brah, or saw,
Saw.
or law.
Okay. On that note, should we talk about
What's
what's
next
coming
week's
next
film?
next
Yeah,
week? Next week,
it's yours.
next week I selected Kenji Mizoguchi's Ugetsu from 1953, which is just a masterpiece. And I don't know if I really
Oh, it's
want to
so
call it.
delightful.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful film.
It is a ghost story.
It is a ghost story. Is it a horror film? I don't know, but it's a ghost story, and I'm really looking forward to revisiting that after many years.
Here is how I would classify it as a horror film, Kelly. It comes up in books about Japanese horror films.
The books don't lie.
If the scholars call it a horror film, it's like, is Dracula really a horror film these days? But it was.
Yeah.
You could call that just like pretty much anything. Nosferatu, definitely a horror film, but Dracula, you could just call that a drama, kind of supernatural drama is what they call it these days. That they rebranded it.
I don't know.
Well, actually, they rebranded it in 1994, and it was a supernatural romance. Which actually, that reminds me, Dracula from 1931 was promoted as the strangest romance on film. It was sold in newspapers as a romance film, but it's in the books about horror.
Oh, well, I mean, of course, it's a horror film. I call that a horror film without any question.
And
hey,
that's why I think we got to count Ugetsu.
And did we mention that we're kind of rambly at this point? But yeah, so Ugetsu's next, and looking forward to that one. And in the meantime, check out Pulse. It's got a newish Blu-ray from Arrow. Yes, we pimp Arrow stuff a lot, and
we do because they release some great films. We're not affiliated with Arrow in any way, shape, or form.
But hey, Arrow, if you want to hey Arrow, if you want to do some sponsorship, we love you.
And Arrow, if you want to take advice from random strangers on the internet, which actually kind of seems more likely these days, not because of you, just because that's how the internet's going. Please release the Ju-on films. I would buy 2 sets at $100 each if each one had the first had the first 4. Like give me the VH, give me those days, and then give me the later days. Like just split them down the middle. I'd pay you $200.
I wouldn't, but I'd borrow them.
Yes, you would.
Okay, yes, I would.
Don't lie to these people.
I've already pre-ordered the Gamera box set. It's true.
Well, that's Gamera. That's different.
Yeah.
That's like your heroin.
Don't do drugs. See you next week.